today I'll be washing Duke, and what's going to be assisting me today are these bathing mitts. The bathing mitts are a great option for when you're washing at home. All you need to do is pour shampoo into the mitt. It's really going to help exfoliate the dog's coat, but also help them, give them a little massage. These are great for dogs like Duke, who's a Cavalier, but even short-coated dogs like pugs, these are going to be awesome. And even if you have a dog that's shedding, pugs are notorious shedders. These are going to act as a good exfoliating, but also helps with that de-shedding as well. It's easy as pouring shampoo into the mitt and massaging your hands together to get a nice lather on the gloves, just like that. And from there, you're just going to work it into the dog's coat. And you're just gonna get a nice back and forth movement or circular movement. Really just focus on trying to give the dog a massage, and they're really going to enjoy that. And you can see here already that Duke is feeling really good, that he just wants to lie down with these mitts on. So because of these soft bristles, it's really working the shampoo into the lower shaft of the hair. You can see the hair separating right here. And that's really what you want when you're shampooing the dog. The last thing you want to do is just shampoo the outer part of the hair. You really want to get into the follicles of the hair to make sure that your dog is nice and clean. So I've finished washing Duke, and now we're gonna get to the drying portion. Typically I towel dry them and then I use a force dryer. I'm using a Wahl microfiber towel today. What's really cool is that you can put your hands inside these pockets and it allows you to pat and dry the dog a lot easier. And the reason why you would want to use a microfiber towel is just like with human hair, these fibers are a lot more gentle on the coat rather than a traditional towel. So you don't want any breakage on a dog's coat. So this is really going to help you minimize any breakage. Plus, a microfiber towel is really just going to soak up a lot more water as well. And it's a huge plus that it's nice and soft, isn't it, Duke? And to start off with Duke's groom, I have multiple steps that I like to follow. The first thing I like to do is their paw pads and then their sanitary. For their paw pads, I like to do a 40 blade. And I want to make sure that I'm not cutting all the hair on the sides. So I typically just lift all the hair that I don't want cut, and I only cut what's in between the paw pads. And you can just glide your clippers over the hair rather than digging in. Sometimes when you dig in too deep, it can cause like irritations, but also you can risk cutting them a little bit. So just gliding over the paw pad is more than enough. And today I'm using the Arco 5-in-1 blade. And what's really great about these is that you can go from shortest to longest, shortest being the 40 blade and longest being the 9 blade. So anytime you need to do paw pads, you can just go over to the 40 and set your lane. So next is shaving his sanitary. I typically do the longest blade on their sanitary areas. And the reason I do that is the shorter that you cut the sanitary, the more like issues you'll have with skin irritation. So the longest blade, which is the 9, is more than enough. Okay. The next part of the sanitary is in the groin. Because Duke is a pet, I will take his sanitary a lot higher. Because he's a pet and he's not a show dog, cleaning that sanitary area, it's a lot more hygienic, and the shorter that it is, the less they have to worry about getting pee in their sanitary area. So now we can get started on his body. The owner wanted a puppy cut. I think it's really great to distinguish what a puppy cut means to an owner and what a puppy cut means to a groomer. To me, I think they're two different things. Normally, customers, when they think puppy cut, they just want it to look like a puppy, right? Like make it look as cute as possible. When I think of puppy cut, in my head, it's everything is one length with maybe a teddy bear style head. So it's really great to distinguish like those terms to pet parents just so you know exactly what they want. Because if I'm thinking a puppy cut is one length all over and I decide to take the dog really short and then the owner picks up and they're like, well, what is this? I'm like, well, you wanted a puppy cut. It's one length all over. But they were thinking it might be just to make it look fluffy and puppy-like. So for Duke, the owner does want him shorter. So I typically like to do about a 2 clip comb on the body. I think it's a good medium between not too short, but not too long. So today I'm using the Wahl Max 50 Plus. It is a detachable clipper. It's also a 2-speed clipper that is great for professional use, but also at home use. Today I'll be using the 2 clip comb by Wahl. It is a 3/8 of an inch clip comb, meaning that it'll leave 3/8 of an inch on the dog. So when you are clippering a dog, make sure you are going with the grain of the hair. You can go against when you're doing a reverse, but in my case right now, I am going with the grain. And you can see that when I get to his hip, I'm just skimming off because I will take a longer guard comb on the legs. I think I do about 1 clip comb or 2 clip combs longer. It just gives the appearance that the dog has fluffier legs. So if I'm doing a 2 clip comb on the body, if I do a 2 on the legs will look really, really skinny. I like to make the dog look cute and teddy bear-like as possible. So I find that making the legs a little bit longer will just add that little extra bit of cuteness to the dog. So same as when I get to the front legs, I am just skimming right when I get to the shoulder muscle. You can lift up his leg. I'm gonna use the clip comb into the belly as well. This is going to shorten the width from his top line and his underline. Because Duke is a little bit on the chunky side, my goal is to make sure that he looks thin and snatched as possible. And you can see just by clippering his underline, it looks like Duke lost 10 pounds already. All right, so now I'm gonna go and start clippering towards his neck and the front chest, but I wanna make sure that I'm leaving some hair from the top of his occiput that's falling into his ears because I want a lot of this hair to grow out. Right now it's really short. If you grow all this hair out to be the length of the ears, you'll have a really nice transition from head to ear. Right now you can see that there is a clear separation. So I'm going to find the top of his head and follow that right behind the ear and clipper everything in front of that line that I made. So now I'm going to switch guard combs to do his legs. Like I said earlier, I usually like to move 1 clip comb or 2 clip combs up from what I used on the body. So this is a 0 clip comb, which is about 5/8 of an inch left on the body. Okay, so you can clearly see here that this is where I stopped with the 2. To get a nice blend, you're just going to start right where you stop clippering in with the 2. And I'm just going to skim a lot of the outer part of his leg. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing to the front of the leg. So if you're still seeing a separation between the shortest clip comb and the longest clip comb, you can go one more clip comb down to get a nice even blend. So I still see here that there is a distinct line, and I want to make sure that everything is nice and blended. So since we used a 2 here and a 0 here, in between these two lengths is a 1 clip comb, which is 1/2 inch. And now you can see that there's a really nice transition from the 2 clip comb, 1, and the 0. Like to the naked eye, it looks like everything is one length, but in reality, there is this gradual transition. First, I like to start out with the feet. Right now, you can see that he has these cute little Grinch feet. So my objective is to round out his paws. And to do that, take your comb and brush everything out. Your first cut you're going to make is a straight line in front of the nail bed. And then you're going to take your comb again and brush all the hair out. And then you're just going to follow around the edges to the straight line that you made. And you're going to constantly cut and scissor. And then you're going to do the same thing on the inside of the leg. And then you're going to continue your circle from the back of the foot, and you're really just following the lines that you just created. Keep brushing out. You see, like I missed that long piece of hair. Then you can lift your foot up, brush everything down, and just clip for anything that's coming out from the sides. You're not cutting the hair shorter around the sides, you're just clipping everything that comes past the little paw pads here. Okay, then you can put the foot down, check your angles, and then you can take your thinning shears and soften the harsh lines you made with your curved scissors. So once you've set your foot, next you can go and round out his rear. I'm just going to follow his natural body line. And right now, I'm just combing, lifting the hair, making sure everything is nice and even. I'm scissoring behind the dog so that way I can get some nice parallel lines as much as I can. With a dog like a Cavalier, you are very limited to what you can do style-wise. So it's really best to just follow the natural lines on the dog, because you can't do anything too crazy, like adding in a rear angulation. Simple is best. Either just cutting this dog really short or just letting the hair naturally grow out would be the two best options for a Cavalier. So for the front feet, same method. You're going to cut straight in front of the nail bed and then follow that all the way around. And then you're just going to keep combing out. And your intention is to create a circle with the feet. And same thing, you're gonna lift the paw pad and comb everything down. And anything that goes past the paw pad, you're going to scissor. Then you're going to take your thinning comb and soften any harsh lines you made with your curve. For the front legs, you're going to connect from the elbow down straight to the back of the paw pad. And then you can also take the dog's leg and lightly pull it in front of them. All you need to do is picture an imaginary straight line here on your dog and cut anything that goes past that imaginary line. And then when you put it down, you should have nice straight legs. So let's clipper in the front of his body. I'm gonna take the one clip comb. So I'm gonna stand in front of the dog and follow the natural grain of the hair. And everything under here, I'm going to scissor in. The reason why I'm gonna scissor this part in is because a lot of dogs have cowlicks here. And sometimes when you clipper that in, you're clippering into the cowlick and it'll be shorter in some areas when you don't want it to be that short. So now all of this hair that's on his lower chest, I'm just going to round it and scissor it into his body. So he has a lot of curly hair and cowlicky hair here around the chest. So I'm just gonna scissor it in. So let's blend in the top of the head to the body. Using the two comb, I'm gonna start right at the occiput and blend right into the body. And everything else, I'm just gonna blend in with the scissors. So then take your thinning shears and you're kind of just creating a V shape like this. And you're just blending these top hairs to the neck so that there's a really nice transition without it being obvious that there's a separation between these lengths. I really like these long pieces on a Cavalier. I just think it's really, really cute to leave it natural. I believe that when it falls naturally into the ear, it just looks better. So when I mentioned earlier before that these hairs I believe are too short, so I'm going to keep these small pieces here so then that way that they can start growing out and to be as long as the ear. That way you have a really nice seamless transition from head to ear. It's gonna look like everything is one length if you keep growing these bits out. So I'm really gonna avoid cutting this because if I were to cut it, then you would see that there is a clear separation between the ears and head when I would prefer that it would just be one seamless transition. So with his ears, I can see that it's really choppy and has these uneven layers. So to make sure that it's nice and even, we should let it grow out because his ear leather ends right here. And this hair is a lot shorter than here. So I'm gonna try my best to blend it as much as I can. So I'm gonna find the bottom of his ear. I'm gonna put my thumb over it so I don't cut it. And I'm gonna cut a straight line across. I'm making sure that the ear is nice and flat and cutting a straight line across. See, so you can see that the shortest point of his ear is the straight line, but these hairs here are still too short, so we're gonna need those to grow out. You make a nice straight line. And to bevel his ears, you're going to round out the corners to create a U shape. And then I'm also gonna create a U shape from behind the ear. So this is the U shape that we're looking for here. And then you're gonna want another U shape right here in front of the ear. Then you're going to want to open up the ears and comb everything down. And you're going to follow this line to the chin and create another U shape. And right now, I'm just blending everything together. And now I'm gonna stand in front of the dog and make sure there are no scraggly pieces. So I switched to thinning shears. You wanna use thinning shears when you're trying to blend all the hair together. Cavaliers always have these little whisker hairs here. I like to trim them. He has like mutton chops, and I just blend them to their face. That way they don't have the little sideburn mutton chops.